Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Geeks with Wives podcast, episode 142. I'm your host, Jeff Gordon. I'm joined by my co-host tonight, chewing on a pizza, Andrew Barton.
Howdy, Jeff. It's delicious pizza.
What topping are you going with tonight?
We've got pepperoni, bacon, and garlic.
Wow.
And these little garlic cheese bites. They're delicious.
Is it delivery or is it DiGiorno?
Neither. It's leftover from date night last night.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm glad you get to relive the memories of date night by having the last slice of pizza.
Having pizza with you, Jeff. This is hobbits have breakfast and second breakfast. I have date night and second date night. And second date night is always with my friend Jeff.
Wow. Man. I don't know how to take that, but I'm gonna take it as feeling very blessed that you would say that about me. But what I'm also excited about tonight is that we are joined by Mark and Sean from Let's Get Crackin', and they developed Runers. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good. How you doing?
I'm fantastic. Sean, what's going on with you?
Oh, I'm good too. I mean, I wish I had some of that pizza, but I'll get through.
Well, we definitely appreciate you guys coming on. And I was talking to Mark before. You guys are based out of Minneapolis.
That's right.
So how are things up there?
It's been hot and muggy the last few days, but it's generally pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to Mark before. It's the same here for Andrew and I. Andrew and I live in Texas, and we're going through a little bit of a heat wave right now. So, it's miserable. So we can all just kind of be hot.
We had a whole bunch of rain move in today, and I was thinking, man, it's gonna cool off nice. No, it got more humid and just muggier. So now it's 100 plus and like walking through a rainforest it feels like. So lovely to have you guys.
We can all just be hot and miserable together, and we'll get through it. And once again, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and I'm really excited to talk about Runers and just get a whole bunch of info on that, and we will definitely get to that later. If you watch the podcast or if you listen to the podcast, you always know that we start off by talking about the games that we are playing. And Mark and Sean, since you are our guests tonight, I thought I would let you guys go first. Mark, what games are you playing right now?
Well, it's been hard to find time, really, but I've been able to sneak in some Hearthstone and some Magic Online.
Oh, nice. So what is it that you like about Hearthstone? What appeals to you?
Well, I'm a big fan of card games to start with like that, like Magic and all those. And Hearthstone, it's so easy to just jump in and play. There's no commitment from me. It's all free, so I don't have to pay anything. So I can just kind of mindlessly play, calm down for a bit, zone out, and then go back to doing whatever I'm doing.
Nice. Yeah, I have friends that are just trying to get me to play it, and I keep resisting because I know that it's just going to be one more game that sucks time away from all of my other responsibilities that I should be doing. But yeah, but I mean, it looks incredible, and I mean, I'm sure any day now I'm going to be addicted to it. But man, I'm glad that you're playing it, and so you said you're playing some Magic.
Yes, the Magic the Gathering Online.
Yeah, and so how are you liking that?
I prefer playing drafts on it. That's mostly what I use it for, is drafts, because I'm not a big constructed guy. I don't like you can make all these super powerful combos, but I prefer to oh, here's all my elves and they're a deck, but then I lose. So I just go to drafts and stuff, so I'm on equal footing, at least to start off with everybody else.
Do you play against Sean?
Oh, no. I used to play Magic with the real cards back when I was a kiddo, but I guess I kind of grew out of it and moved on to computers.
Moving on to more respectable games? Is that what you're...
No, Magic's respect. I respect Magic.
Well,
I
Sean,
don't know.
what
Yeah. Yeah, me. Well, okay. Okay. Well, I also play some Hearthstone, like Mark said. I mean, it's nice to be able to play something for just a little bit. Like if I want 30 minutes or an hour to play something, I don't have to commit to something. For example, like Dota 2, which is something else I play, which lasts a little bit longer. I mean, you don't get as much time to play that. And I guess the third thing, which I just barely got into recently, is Age of Wonders 3, which is something Mark got me to just start playing. And I mean, it's a lot of fun, but I mean, that's really nothing I have time for right now. Not
Yeah.
a game of that scope.
Now, I haven't played that one yet. Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, I mean, I haven't played much of it either, but I mean, it's a lot based off of, or it's similar to the second one. There's a lot of empire building. There's tactical combat, so that slows it down. I mean, it's turn-based, so building your empire is also very slow. It's kind of a slow, very long-term planning tactical thing. Not like Heroes of Might and Magic, which is similar, but I think more fast-paced. Age of Wonders 3 is definitely more of a thinker, I would say.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a blast, and man, I hope to hear more about it, and I hope to get a shot at playing it in the near future. I'm going to go ahead and go next because I know Andrew's probably still chewing on his pizza. I'm giving him time to digest that. You know, you don't want to talk right after you've eaten or while you're eating. Yeah, I understand that. So the game that I'm playing, it really isn't as important as what I'm playing it on. And I'm playing Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, but I'm playing it on PlayStation Now. And they have an open beta going on right now. And if you're listening to the show or you're watching tonight, basically PlayStation Now, if you haven't heard of it, is a new streaming service that Sony is providing in which you can play a game while you're streaming it. Sort of similar to how, if you have ever experienced remote play on the Vita, you're essentially streaming the game to your Vita and you're playing it on there. So that's kind of what that is like, and I'm having a pretty good experience with this so far. I haven't experienced a whole lot of lag and latency issues, and if I have, like, it's been like very early on, and it keeps getting better as I get deeper into the game, as I play the game more. But my one criticism of this new system is that the prices for like your rental periods, because you can like rent a game for like $2.99 for like 4 days, or you can rent a game for like $22 for like 90 days. So they have like different kinds of periods that you can rent the game for. But like, for instance, with Final Fantasy 13, you can rent the game for like 30 or 90 days for $15, but you can actually buy a copy of the game at a store or online for $15. So there's kind of like a conflicting kind of issue there. And I was just wondering, have you guys, what are your thoughts on PlayStation Now? Do you have any opinion on it?
I've been keeping up with it, and one thing, the price is still in flux, right? They haven't locked down what the final pricing is going to be, right?
That is correct. Yeah, they haven't. But I mean, it's definitely not giving it a good name, I guess, because I don't think a lot of people grasp that, So, but
when the new consoles were just coming out, PlayStation Now was kind of the thing that, like, oh, I'll buy a PS4 because that sounds cool. I never owned a PS3. I was an Xbox 360 guy. So I figured the PlayStation Now would be similar to what PS3 had with PlayStation 2 and 1 games, where you'd be able to buy the games and then play them. And when it came out that it's a streaming service and it's not like a buying game, it's a renting thing, it kind of just soured the whole thing for me. So I haven't touched it. I haven't looked at it or anything.
Yeah.
I've just been following the news.
Yeah.
I was really thinking that it would be interesting to tie the PlayStation Now in with the PlayStation Plus program, if you could find a way to have like a subscription-based ability to rent these games rather than, trying to pay, because that's a really complicated pricing structure that that we'd be asking them to do, because they would have to almost tailor the price for every single game for what the market is for that game currently. So using Final Fantasy 13, for example, when it comes out, $15 for a 90-day rental isn't that bad for a $60 game. But then, 90 days after that game comes out, then all of a sudden it's a $40 game instead of $60. And then 6 months after that, maybe it's a $25, $20, $15 game. So they would have to adjust the price for the rental down as the game comes out for every single game that comes out that is offered on that PlayStation Now. And that's just as they're coming out, let alone the back catalog games. And that can get even more complicated when you're looking at, some of the PS1 classics that you can rent and that kind of stuff. As a weird aside, that's kind of parallel to this, I just heard this past week. Earthbound came out on Virtual Console for Wii U about this time last year, and when that game came out, it was the first time Earthbound had been re-released since it initially came out in North America, and basically what that did is that dropped the collector's market on Earthbound games, and because the only way you could find it, or the only way you could play that game, was by finding some collector's copy someplace and purchasing it. So, now you're trying to figure out how to price, to tie that into PlayStation Now, now you're trying to figure out how to price some games from 20 years ago that may be more valuable than other games from 20 years ago, and trying to figure out, it's all really complicated, asking them, so it's easier for them to try to come up with a flat thing. All PS3 games are this much, all PS2 games are this much, all PS1 games are this much.
Yeah.
But then we run into the exact problem that everybody seems to be having, which is they don't stay the release price for very long. So that's just why I'm trying to come up with a way to make it easier by tying it into PlayStation Plus. But
just a couple things regarding what you said. I think from what I've read, Sony doesn't determine the PlayStation Now prices completely. I thought it was the publishers that said, that's why there's a lot of the games on there are different priced. So the publishers are saying, here's what you can charge. And then also, I don't think they've come out and said PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games. They haven't come out and said completely oh yeah, it's going to be streaming on PlayStation Now.
Yeah, they haven't said that as far as I know, but I think that they've been leading people in that direction. At least I've been led in that direction.
I was originally, but I still kind of hope they just go with what the PlayStation 3 had, and you can just download them.
Just download them, yeah.
I think it should be like the old Blockbuster days. If I want the game for 3 days, I'll pay $3. I get it for the weekend. That's what it is, right? It's just renting online, right?
That would make things so much easier. I'm also not really a big fan of the streaming, just because sometimes I can have trouble with some of my data if I'm trying to stream Netflix or watch my HBO Go or something like that, and I can tell at peak hours, like right about now, sometimes the thing will start to cut out a little bit and it'll get jumpy and have to buffer, and so I can already see that streaming is probably not for me. It would be easier to just download and not have to worry about any kind of connection issues like that. But
yeah, I totally agree, and I don't want to be too critical of them because it is technically open beta, and so they're still trying to figure some things out. But that is the danger of having an open beta, is that people can make assumptions of what it's going to be like before it actually, before all of the issues get resolved. So, like I said, there are some really good things about it. I haven't had a whole lot of issues, with the streaming, but like you said, Andrew, I can definitely see where people can have issues, in parts of the country that don't get as, fast internet speeds, or, sometimes, no matter how good your internet is, sometimes it, does crazy stuff. and if you're in the middle of a game and it cuts out and you lose your data, you lose all of the progress that you've had over the last hour or so. Like, it's going to make you frustrated. It's not going to make you want to keep going back to that experience. So,
actually, kind of related to that, I had a fun experience this past weekend. I was playing a game that I got on PlayStation Plus, and so it's free for me to use for as long as I have that subscription. Well, when the network went out on, what was that, Sunday, I got a message as I was playing the game that said, you only have 30 minutes left to play this title. And then you only have 15 minutes left to play this title. You only have 5 minutes left. And so I'm saving my game and trying to make sure, and then it just kicked me out of the game. And I have no idea why, because my subscription doesn't end until November. But it just decided, no, you're done playing. So that's a problem that I could see having a lot of with this subscription thing. If the PlayStation Network gets DDoS attacked and it goes offline, will you get to play that game that I got a 36-hour rental for my PlayStation Now game, and I can't play it because 28 of those 36 hours the PlayStation Network was down, and unfortunately the other 8 hours I had to sleep. So, I think there's things to be ironed out there. I really like the idea of doing some kind of a rental thing. I just get worried about the streaming thing. So
yeah.
But those are just my concerns, I guess.
Yeah, just little old Andrew's concerns.
Yeah. What do I know?
Yeah. What do we all know? Well, enough about PlayStation Now. Andrew, what have you been playing?
Well, I was playing Kingdoms of Amalur when I got kicked off, so that's what I've been playing over the past week. I'm actually moving the story forward now, as opposed to just running back and forth across the map doing side quests. So I felt like, hooray, I can actually make real measurable progress, and then I got 12 new side quests. So move the story 1 inch so that way I could move side quests 12 miles. But it's a lot of fun. I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to want to see new and different landscapes because I'm just traversing back and forth across the same 4 areas. But I think that's coming because I look on the world map and I'm like, there's this whole section over here I haven't been to yet. So I'm enjoying it. It's just this is the kind of game that you and I, Jeff, will be talking about this in October, it seems like. So.
Sounds great. Well, I mean, at least I don't have to ask you what game you're playing.
Exactly.
Well, I hope you continue to enjoy it. And as I always say, Andrew is the adventurous gamer. I always like to hear what new games he's playing. So enjoy it. Continue to enjoy it. And
thank you.
Yeah, and we'll be talking about this in October, like you said. So, and once again, we're so glad that Mark and Sean were able to join us tonight. And they have a game called Runers. And first, I just want to ask you guys, how did you guys come together to start creating video games?
We met in first year of college, I think, or second year. I can't exactly remember. But we started hanging out then, playing a lot of Dota on Warcraft 3. And after we got out of college, I moved away, so we continued to talk online. It kind of evolved from there. We'd talk about video game ideas, and we just kind of prototype things out. And then, we got the idea for Runers, and we actually started really working on that one.
And so how long were you working on it?
Runers started January 2012, I think. It was a little bit ago.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a very broad question, but what is the biggest hurdle to get over when it comes to developing a game like this?
For me, it's when we're in mid-development and we're like, oh, we can do anything we want. We can add in this idea or this idea or this idea, and we keep adding in the ideas until the scope creep just becomes so huge. The game's bloated. We're way behind deadlines. It's like, oh, we got to cut all this new stuff we added. We got to keep with the original design.
Yeah, there's so much freedom. It's just so easy to take it out of control. Because I mean, we all have the perfect idea. You know, what's our perfect game? And now's our chance to make one. But we can't have absolutely everything.
Well, why don't you tell our community a little bit about what this game is about?
So in all of our promotional stuff, it's tagged as a top-down dungeon shooter, something. It's very long. Pretty much it's a top-down dungeon crawler with a lot of roguelike elements involved. So when you start playing, it is top-down. It's a kind of a twin-stick shooter, essentially, with the controls. And you start off with a spell, one of 10 different starting spells. There's 10 runes. Each rune correlates to one of those spells. As you progress further in the game, you can get more runes. So say you get a fire rune and an air rune. Then you can get a double combiner, and you can combine those into a new spell. You can do that for up to 3 spells, so you get a fire, 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 you can combine that. So total there's 285 different spells you can discover and make. And that's kind of the big part for me, is just having all these things that people can discover.
Yeah. No. And do you have any did you do any, is there any like humorous elements to the game? Like because you guys seem like you have like a great sense of humor. I figure that you might have thrown something like that in there.
Yeah, a lot of the class and when you start the game, you can choose a class or a race. We have some text correlating those. A lot of that's we tried to make as funny as we could, without seeming like super silly.
Yeah.
Some of them still are, but.
And so, I guess the next thing I'll ask is, what have you seen the response been like for the game?
So far, the response has been pretty good. I mean, most people that make comments say, "Hey, I like it. I can't wait for it. I'm having fun finding things, and just keep going. Good job." Obviously, there have been a few haters. People like, "Oh, your guy slides around too much." Well, that's just how it is.
And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, generally, I mean, the feedback we've been getting is really good. A lot of people are just saying all the stuff they like. I mean, everybody has their ideas, but a lot of the ideas we've been getting, it's not people saying your game sucks, here's what you should do. It's like, oh, this game's awesome, here's something I think you could add.
That's nice. Like I always enjoy when you have kind criticism.
Yeah.
People can feel entitled, as we all know. I mean, being in the industry, like people think I deserve this type of game.
Yeah.
Therefore, you should give that to me. And I think people, don't know how difficult it is to make a game. And like you guys said, there's a lot of hurdles you got to overcome. I can't even imagine what it's like to actually release the game, to the public. What is that, nerve-wracking? Is that
nerve-wracking? Is an understatement, I think.
Sean can tell you, when we first released the demo, I was constantly watching for feedback, and I think the first feedback we saw was negative, and I just freaked out. And I'm like, oh god, Sean, everybody's gonna hate it. Oh god, what are we doing? But yeah.
Some guy says, magic missile's too strong, so we're like, oh my gosh, make the damage like 10 times less. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to take feedback when we're not necessarily used to it, and be mindful of it. Because obviously some people aren't going to like some things, but we can't overcompensate. So we got to just absorb it all for a while, I think.
Yeah, that's been one of the biggest lessons for me.
Sometimes it seems like you need to kind of develop that thick skin for being that public face.
Yep, exactly. Another thing is everybody's got ideas, and something for me is I have to realize sometimes their ideas aren't right sometimes, or it's something we don't want to have in the game.
So you mentioned earlier that when you were developing the idea for runes or for runers, you were talking about games that you loved, and so ultimately, this is kind of you're kind of throwing back to what your influences were. So what are you guys' influences when it comes to video games? Like, what did you grow up on?
Well, I mean, Rooters was, I guess, some of the bigger ideas came from some maps from Warcraft 3. I mean, I was a big Warcraft 3 player.
Yeah.
I mean, I played all sorts of maps. There was just, it's like a million games in one, really. So I think Warcraft 3 maps gave me a lot of ideas, like for the physics and for, I mean, the runes idea kind of came from a map from there where you would make your own spells in there. You'd make some of the Warcraft spells by combining, various elements. It wasn't very robust, but it was a great starting point.
Yeah, for some of the games that we kind of looked for runers, like Sean said, there's some of the Warcraft maps. I mean, I think we were both playing Binding of Isaac at the time, yep. And that was kind of my introduction to that kind of style of roguelike or roguelike-like or roguelite or whatever you want to call it. And we really wanted to implement something like that. But going back further for me, like for the sense of discovery, I was always playing RPGs and stuff like that, and just the sense of discovery in those games are kind of what I wanted to emulate here.
That sounds great. Yeah, and I mean, you're talking to two RPG lovers yourselves, Andrew and I.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so yeah, we're right there with you. And so I guess what is on the horizon for you guys? Like, are you going to continue to add to this game, or what's next for Let's Get Crackin'?
Well, the game releases on September 2nd, so in 6 days. And then from there, we'll be taking initial feedback. It will kind of just be in a standby mode in case anything bad happens. Yeah. But our goal is to add more content to the game. Like, we can add... It's just so easy to add more bosses, more enemies, more challenges, anything we really want. We can even add new game-type modes. And it is our goal to work on that after a while.
Yeah. No, hey, I'm all for it. I was telling you, Mark, I got a chance to play the demo. I got a chance to play that, and I loved it, and I really it sounds funny to say, but I'm really proud of the game that you guys made, and you've done a really great job. And hey, you keep adding stuff to the game, and I'll keep playing it.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah. And if anybody says any different, they can talk to me.
I'll send them your way.
That's said.
So, Geeks with Wives is exclusive then. What do you guys think is what's the first thing you guys are targeting to add after the game comes out? Have you guys had any discussion about that, or?
Yeah, we've had a few discussions. I'm trying to remember what was top of our list.
Top of my list, I think, is something I want, even though I might not use, is probably controller support.
All right.
Because
I know I do most of my gaming on controller, so I just feel more comfortable there than mouse and WASD. So.
Yeah, there are hurdles to adding that in, but I do think that we will find a way to get that in there. And I think it'll be great because a lot of people would rather control it with a controller than a keyboard. So it opens up some possibilities for us. So we're definitely going to explore that.
Awesome. And this will be available on Steam?
Yep, it'll be available on Steam and a whole list of other sites that I can't recall right now. I believe Amazon and Get Games and Good Old Games. Pretty much everywhere, I think.
Well, I just have to ask, what's your experience been with Steam? Have you guys had a good experience with them?
Yeah, it's been good. We went on Greenlight a while ago. I can't recall the date, And then we made it through Greenlight, and we hooked up with a publisher to help us out with localization and press release stuff and trailers and all that jazz. And working with Steam has just been good. Like, actually getting in there, we've been able to do pretty much everything we want to. We implemented the game completely in the Steam, so there's leaderboards. So as you do runs, you get points, and then after you finish a run, you can compare how well you did to anybody else who's played the game. Just gives you more reason to keep trying.
Yeah, we also got Steam achievements, and various times we've had problems or quirks with Steam. They've been there to help us out, so things are going very smooth when it comes to Steam integration.
I'm telling everybody, it's the future. Steam is the future.
Yeah.
I really think it is. I don't know. Maybe that's just my opinion, but I think it's also the opinion of many.
Well, they keep getting me with these sales. I think I own like 100 games, and I've played maybe 20.
I know, right? Like, and I was telling Mark before, all the things that I told Mark before the podcast. There's just so many. But I keep saying that. But I'm waiting to get my computer fixed because there's some issues with it, and so I haven't gotten around to it, and it's been just like excruciating seeing all of the sales this summer that have gone up, and it's just like game after game after game, and I'm like, oh, that would be awesome if I had a computer, a working computer to play that. That would be fantastic.
It doesn't even have to be a game you would have bought. You see it on sale, and you're like, oh, I'm losing money by not buying it.
I know, right? Yeah. It's it's putting me in very dangerous territory with my wife. I'll just put it like that. Not good. And last week we had Ian Sheriff from CNET, and a writer for CNET, and he was talking about a new Steam box. And I apologize, I forget the company that made it, but I think it was
Alienware.
Alienware, yeah. Yeah, and I'm just like, great, just one more thing to just put on the list, and I'm gonna be like, sweetheart, you know how that computer isn't working? Well, I think I may have a solution, and
it's only going to be $2,000.
If we just get out dinner for the month.
Remember when we used to love ramen? Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice to just spend 2 months reminiscing about that by actually just eating ramen 3 meals a day?
Yeah. So, one way or the other, I'll be making sure to play you guys this game, and like I said, really excited for you, and when we get further on down the road, I'd love to have you guys back on and see where things are at.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah, and so I wanted to make sure that we talked about this tonight. We everybody's kind of abuzz with the news that Twitch was acquired by Amazon, and I wanted to get you guys' opinion. What do you Andrew? What do you think of this? Is this exciting for you, or are you dreading another company coming in our industry?
So, as somebody who primarily reads all of my comic books on Comixology, Amazon just bought Comixology and said, don't worry, we're not going to change a single thing. And then about 36 hours later, Amazon removed the ability to purchase, to do in-app purchases on iDevices. So iPhone and iPad reading, that kind of stuff. You can no longer buy comics through the Comixology store. This was a really big, hotly contested thing because anytime you make an in-app purchase like that, Apple gets a cut. And so all of a sudden you have a pie that was being divided between the comic creators and Comixology, now being divided 3 ways between the comic creators, Comixology, and Apple. And when Amazon purchased Comixology, they have a policy, we don't split profits like that. So they completely removed Apple from the equation by doing that. So big change, despite the fact that they said like 36 hours earlier, no big change is coming. I say that just because so far, no big changes with Twitch. But it didn't take too long for that entire story to get reversed last time. I luckily have been pretty much unaffected. I didn't buy the comics through the app, but a lot of people were really unhappy about it. I have a feeling that if anything goes down with Twitch, it'll be the same way. I'll be largely unaffected, but a lot of people will be really unhappy about it. So that's just kind of where I'm coming from. What about you guys? What has been your initial gut reactions?
I've been conflicted. On one hand, from what I've read, Google was in talks with Twitch before Amazon sneaked in there and somehow got it out from their hands. And I'm glad Amazon got it over Google, ever since Google acquired YouTube. I mean, there's been a lot of problems for content creators on there. There's lots of copyright things coming through, and it's just a pain for them to deal with. Like, they can try to appeal them, and it's just a long process. And I was wondering if Google acquired it, if the same thing would have happened to Twitch, which would have just brought the whole thing down. Like, I don't even see how you could run it with that. But I've also heard the same kind of things with Amazon, like you said, with Comixology, and I've heard other sites too, like I think they acquired Woot a while back, and just that kind of went downhill. But who knows what'll happen. I'm sure they'll try to monetize it some more in some way, like if you're watching somebody stream a game, they're like, oh, you can buy this game right here for this price, which would be a minor change, but who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that. Do you like watching Jeff stream Diablo 3? Well, you can click right here and buy it instantly on Amazon. You don't even have to stop watching Jeff's video. Something like that. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that. You actually make a really good point about the Google and YouTube thing. When I remember hearing that, and I thought it was a done deal. I had told my wife just like 2 days before about how Google owns Twitch, and then later I said, Amazon just bought Twitch? So, I mean, my understanding was it was a done deal. But the YouTube Twitch thing just seems to make a little bit more natural sense to me than the Amazon Twitch, just because, live video streaming is something that YouTube can currently do. It seems like you could just plaster some YouTube, Google logos on Twitch and call it a day. Amazon doesn't necessarily have anything like that. So I'm kind of interested to see what exactly they plan on doing with it, because it doesn't necessarily seem to go with their current business model. I was talking with my dear friend Joe Barhoom earlier, and he said something about Amazon trying to gather analytics for it and try to figure out what games are hot and blah, blah, blah. So that way we can start to figure out what we should charge for the games, and should we put this game on sale and try to funnel people to it, that kind of thing. That could be an interesting thing, but that seems like a $970 million experiment. That, I don't know if that's really something that you want to pin that much money on. It's just kind of a cool novelty project, in essence. But, I struggle to see where the $970 million, where Amazon is going to make that money back. Is simply having buy Diablo 3 now underneath Jeff's stream really going to get them that much money? I don't know.
Well, I was reading earlier, I think from the article I was reading, Twitch accounted for last year 1.2% of all internet usage was through Twitch, that would expose Amazon stuff to a lot of people.
That's true. The question is, though, I guess, that maybe 1.2% of internet usage. I'm assuming that's data usage rather than like individual hits.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have a whole bunch of people pulling a. Well, you might have relatively few speaking people pulling in a bunch of data just because video streaming is more data intensive than looking up text files on the internet. So how many eyeballs are they hitting as opposed to how much data are those eyeballs pulling in? I don't know.
Let me tell you what I'm worried about, guys. We're inviting a lot of outsiders into this industry. Like Facebook acquired Oculus, and we have Amazon acquiring Twitch. These are two mediums that a lot of people are at least expecting or has the possibility of being a huge staple with how video games are played. With VR being a possibility of we don't know, but it could catch on, and you could have companies that aren't really video game savvy and don't have a huge, I guess now they have a stake in the market, but before, it wasn't something that they were familiar with, and so now we're going to essentially be placing the future of how games are going to be played in the hands of companies that aren't necessarily familiar with the market and with the games. So I think that's what worries me, is just that we're giving so much responsibility to companies that don't have as much experience in this market. I think that's what I'm worried about.
It's kind of funny to tie back into what you guys talked about last week. Ian Scher made the suggestion that perhaps the gaming industry is not growing anymore. We're seeing an actual slight decline in software sales and that kind of thing. So if we're actually seeing the market stay the same size, it's not growing and expanding, why are companies like Google and Amazon and Facebook interested in getting in there? That's something that I just find a little bit interesting, because yes, it is a big marketplace, but it's not a growing marketplace, it seems. So that's just an interesting conundrum. I guess I can expect Ian to message Geeks with Wives and be like, well, here's the reason why. But I just thought that was an interesting thing to come on the heels of Ian's interesting statement.
Yeah. And Sean, what are you taking away from all of this news?
Well, I think that the gaming industry, it could be growing. Like you've heard of the International 4 that Valve hosted for Dota 2. That was, it's the biggest video game tournament to date, and I think it had some of the most viewership on Twitch ever. So if Amazon gets in the business, maybe there's more opportunities for partnerships and prizes and money and just more people, an influx of something, a new life. I don't know. I don't know. It could go bad if it becomes more of a business model for, I can see monetization type things changing, but I think that there could be hope for actual growth of more people getting in and more people being exposed to this. But I think in general, video games, at least the type of video games that you find on Twitch, is kind of a smaller market of video games. It's not like Candy Crush, which everyone in the world and their grandmother plays.
Right.
But this is more of the Twitch type of games, like Dota, StarCraft, Hearthstone, Diablo 3, etc.
Yeah, and I may have slightly put words in Ian's mouth, so maybe I should try to backpedal here a little bit. I think he was saying that the AAA exclusive hardcore gamer type market was staying the same / shrinking slightly, very slightly, and instead we were seeing more growth on that Candy Crush style of game. So, the gaming market as we know it is static, whereas we're seeing the growth on, the app style game, and actually, maybe that's what Amazon is trying to do, is find a way to bridge some of their devices, my wife's Kindle, and find ways to tie that marketplace into Twitch. I don't know. They've got the Amazon Fire TV thing now, right? And Amazon just recently purchased a game studio, didn't they? I can't remember who it was, but it seems like they're just trying to find ways to build bridges between these two disparate brands that they have.
Yeah, I mean, if it works out, it'll be awesome, right? Like, you have, very lucrative, companies that have a lot of revenue coming in, and they have a lot to work with, and so if it works out, like, it's going to be incredible, and it's going to get a lot of exposure for a lot of games that maybe wouldn't get it, and I think that's great for developers. And I don't want to be too skeptical about it, but like the industry, you grow up in it, and it's kind of like we joke about gamers feeling ownership, but we kind of want to protect what we've thrived in. And so when you have these guys in their suits coming in and picking up our what we hold dear, we kind of get worried. But really, I hope, and I really do, I hope that Amazon does a great job, and like, the best of luck to them. Twitch is awesome, and yeah, you'll be able to watch me stream some Diablo. I mean, you may not enjoy it because it won't be very good, but but I'm right there with you, Andrew. Like, I think that there's a lot of potential, and it'll be interesting to see where it goes. So, but I have to ask, as Mark and Sean, as developers, do you guys feel worried at all by this, or does it not mean as much to you guys?
I'm not that worried as a developer. I mean, as a Twitch watcher and a gamer, I'm concerned, but I think they can do good things, they can do bad things. But from the developer side, like, we're not really utilizing it. I can see how there's some indie developers who utilize it a lot. We're not one of those. Mm-hmm. But I can definitely see people streaming Runers, possibly.
Oh yeah, definitely. I hope everyone here streams.
Hey, yeah. So after I get done with the Diablo stream, I'll just do Runers, and yeah.
And then you'll be able to click the Buy Runers Now link and get it straight from Amazon.
We do like this idea.
Well, let me tell you, I mean, I am making jokes about Jeff streaming Diablo, but the reason why I'm doing that is because I actually watched Geek with Wife Jeremy streaming Diablo on Twitch, and let me tell you, if there was a Buy It Now button, I may have been in trouble with my wife, because I may have bought Diablo 3 right then, going, Jeremy looks like he's having so much fun, click, and make the impulse purchase. Maybe that's how Amazon wants to get its $970 million.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the best advertising is when these people, you can see people yelling and playing and screaming at the game and having the best time of their life. I mean, that's free and good advertising right there.
If you can see somebody having that kind of fun experience and make it kind of that impulse purchase where the link was right there, I didn't have to do anything special, just Click, Amazon already knows my credit card. I mean, they've already got my life, so you know, it wasn't complicated for me at all. I saw Jeremy having fun. I clicked on something. Next thing I knew, I had a package in the mail, and I could play with Jeremy. Maybe that's what they're wanting to do. I just, I wonder. Looking at the top streams there, it seems like 10,000 people watch League of Legends at any given point in time, and 200 people watch something besides League of Legends. And I wonder how many of those 10,000 people watching League of Legends already have League of Legends and don't need to buy a new copy of a free game. But that's where I would point to a breakdown in the logic, but maybe they don't think that's a breakdown. I don't know.
Wise words, Andrew.
I don't know. Yes. The wisest words I've said all night. I don't know.
Oh, man. Well, and I will just say, like, as far as Twitch is concerned, it is responsible for me. I talked about a couple of weeks ago that I bought Rise, Son of Rome, because I saw it on Twitch. And so, like, I definitely see the value in it, as far as what Amazon sees in it as a potential to, not just push the games that are being streamed themselves, but like you guys said, and like we've been saying, having games on the screen next to it, and 24 hours later, I've got to say, sweetheart, I really don't know what happened. Like 1 second, I was watching a Twitch stream, and next thing I know, like I'm buying the game. So sorry. So I think there's going to be a lot of stories like that happening. It was Amazon's fault. I swear, honey. I swear.
Ramen sales skyrocket.
Well, like I said, we'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Okay, Amazon, we'll let you have your time to work things out, and but if it doesn't, you'll have to answer to the wrath of Andrew, the wrath of Mark, and the wrath of so hopefully that doesn't happen. But now, as people know that watch the show or listen to the show, we always have our segment that we love because we never really know what's on people's minds when it comes to the final thought. And first, before we get to the final thoughts, I just have to ask Andrew, what rating would you give the pizza?
Not as good leftover as it was new. So last night, 9. Tonight, 7.58. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's good enough. I mean, hey, it's better than the ramen that my wife and I will be eating. So.
Man, I don't know. I've had some pretty good ramen.
It just brings up a lot of bad memories for me from when I had no money in college. So I think that's what it is for me. Just
it was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
Yes, that sums up. That sums up everything. Well, Andrew, what is your final thought for the evening?
Well, I rushed in to join the podcast with you guys tonight because I had just gotten home from one of my work meetings, and one of the guys that I got to work with, he's a guy who volunteers with me, and he and I talked in the parking lot for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, and just he was telling me some of the stuff that's going on, kind of in his personal life and some of the stresses that he's dealing with. And he said, I know I'm not the only person out there who has these particular difficulties going on right now, and so maybe I shouldn't be complaining about it. And I told him, Mark, I was a psychology major And one of the things that they told us was it's not whether or not you're the only person who has this problem. It's whether or not the problem is important to you. So that's one of the things that just with everything that's going on in the world right now, I just want to remind everybody, you may not be the only person out there with your problem, but if it's important to you, then chat with somebody. And maybe you can have a hour-long conversation in a parking lot leaning against your SUV, or find somebody else to talk to. But just if you're feeling low and feeling stressed, find somebody to just have a little bit of a chat with and see if you guys can work some of that stuff out.
I like it, Andrew. That's awesome. Like, I really mean that. Thank you.
No problem, Jeff.
Yeah. Mark, what is your final thought for this evening?
Well, it's been great being here, and I'm just going to pimp the game a bit first. I mean, you can check us out. You can check out Runers on Steam right now. You can go download the demo. We'll be out September 2nd. You can go follow us on Twitter at LGK Games. You can go check out our website at www.runersgame.com. Just final thoughts. Last time I was on, I talked about Assassin's Creed 3 versus Assassin's Creed 4. I played 4. 3 still better.
So what's the reasoning behind this? I have to ask.
Assassin's Creed 4, you're not an assassin. You're playing Pirate Creed 4 or something.
That was the name of a band I used to be in.
Pirate Creed 4?
Pirate Creed 4. I won't pimp that tonight. All right, so you're a part of a group that likes Assassin's Creed 3. You do you think it's just better, or like do you really like it?
I'll say Assassin's Creed 4 is the better game, but I just felt Assassin's Creed 3, the story, as weak as it may have been, was still better than Assassin's Creed 4's story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To me, it seemed like Assassin's Creed 4, maybe it was a better technical game.
Yeah.
But it wasn't an Assassin's Creed game. Like you said, Pirate Creed, I guess. But it never looked like an Assassin's Creed game. When I think Assassin's Creed, I don't think boat on water. I think climbing tall building and then knifing somebody in the neck. So that I see entirely what you're saying, and it plays a factor as to why I've not played Assassin's Creed 4 yet. So I'm with you, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Mark, I just have to ask you real quick, are you interested at all in Assassin's Creed Unity?
Yeah, definitely. I am kind of disappointed that it's in France, but everybody is speaking with like a British accent or something. They're not speaking with a French accent, but I'm still excited for it.
Yeah, I am too. It looks like possibly a return to, traveling around the city, kind of like you were doing in Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood and Revelation. So, yeah, I'm right there with you. Excited about it. Sean, what's on your mind this evening?
Well, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't Runers. I mean, we've been making it so long, it's just consumed my mind. I can't think about it. I always think about it. I'm at work, I think about it. I'm asleep, I have dreams. Okay, maybe not that crazy. But yeah, maybe we are coming out, in a week. So, I mean, tell your friends, go check it out, like Mark said. I'm very excited and nervous to get it out. It'll be a load off my mind. I'll have so much free time after. It'll be great. Like we talked about earlier in all the Steam sales, I'm still like at last Christmas sales worth of games that I still have to get through. And Christmas is already coming up. So I'm going to be enhancing my library of games I haven't played. I don't know why I keep doing that, but boy, is it fun. It almost seems like it's funner just to buy the game that I'm never going to play for 80% off than to actually play it to a point. But, yep, I'm just waiting for time to go, I guess. Just chug along.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine what it's got to be like for you guys. Like, in a way, like, even though I know personally that the game's going to be great. Like, I know that you guys have got to be just crazy nervous and excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited, and it got a lot easier once I just kind of told myself, like, people aren't going to like it. Lots of people don't like lots of popular games. Lots of people aren't going to like our game, but there's going to be a lot of people who do, and those are the ones that we care about.
Yeah. And, when people like something, they're vocal about it and they tell other people about it. So I think that, the Geeks with Wives will definitely be talking about Runers for months to come. And, yeah, definitely excited. And who knows, years to come, decades to come, centuries, who knows? Runers 100 will be great.
Well, we are going to make, like, I think, Runers 3024 in space. We're going to have, like, Space Rune and, astronauts. I don't know. We'll think of something.
Well, we're definitely, like I said, we're definitely excited about it. And, of course, we're going to have you guys back on after it releases, or, at some point after it releases. So, we'll give you guys, some time to relax, enjoy having your life back for a little bit, but then you're gonna have to come back on. We'll have to talk more about it. And so, my final thought for this evening is, if it pulls up, I downloaded a new game today, and I'm gonna pull it up there. It's called Star Wars Commander, and it just came out this week, and it is kind of like the answer to Clash of Clans. And I don't know if you guys played Clash of Clans before?
No.
I have not.
Okay. All right. Well, I haven't either. So, but I've had friends that have asked me for like this entire year, like, Jeff, come play Clash of Clans. And I'm like, I don't really have any interest in it. Basically, you're building a fortress, you're fortifying it, you're training troops. And then you can join, your fortresses together with other people, and you can fight other people. It sounds great, but there's just nothing, there's not any kind of substance to it that really has me interested. But I do love Star Wars, and so I'm the biggest Star Wars fan. I read the books, read the comics, love the movies. You would try not to talk about the prequels, but but besides that, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and we talked about this last week. It's just great to have a game to play with your friends, right? And whether it's something that you're like super crazy about, it doesn't have to be a game that you're super crazy about. It can just, you're crazy about your friends, and so therefore you're gonna play it. So that's what I'm doing. I just downloaded it today, so that's my fortress. Look at that tiny thing. But one day it's going to be an empire. And
Tatooine?
It is on Tatooine right now. Humble beginnings, But it's great because the thing that I like about it, as opposed to what Clash of Clans was, is that you have one type of team that you can play as. What is happening?
Sorry.
You're okay. I thought you were being raided or something. I was worried for you. All right. Well, anyway, so in Clash of Clans, you can only play as like one type of race. You can just play as humans and you fight against orcs. But in Star Wars Commander, you can choose to play as Rebel or Empire. And so I chose Empire because that's how I roll. I'm not ashamed of that. But I like to play as Renegade Shepherd. I'd like to play as Dark Revan and Knights of the Old Republic. So I'm staying true to that. And so yeah, I'm really excited about it. And I'm probably going to be terrible at it. But it'll be fun to play with my friends. So that's my final thought. I'm trying to be adventurous, trying something new, and we'll see if I like it or not. So we'll talk about it next week, I'm sure, and hopefully hopefully I can make the community proud. Hopefully I can make you guys proud by doing good at this game. So we'll see.
Every week we'll see your little empire get bigger and bigger.
One can only hope. One can only hope. Well, once again, we're really glad that we had Mark and Sean on tonight. We just want to give you. I know you said it earlier, Mark, but where can we find you guys on Twitter?
At LGK Games.
Okay. At LGK Games. Andrew, where can I find you at? If I wanted to.
If you wanted to, you could find me at ACBarton08.
Awesome. And you can find me at Gentle Jeffrey. Doesn't that sound like an intimidating name, guys? You know, you got to stick with some things in life, and so I'm sticking with it. Once again, thank you, Mark and Sean, for being on tonight. Really appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, and Andrew, of course, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and thanks for having second date with me with your pizza.
Certainly.
And thank you to the Geeks with Wives community for listening to the podcast, for watching it. Once again, you are part of the community. So if you ever want to be on the podcast or you have any questions, contact us on Twitter. You can reach us at Geeks with Wives, or you can, reach out to me on Twitter or Andrew, and we'll definitely get back with you and try to figure out a way that you can be on the podcast, or you can write something if you want to write an article. We are more than open to that. You have a voice within Geeks with Wives, and we want to make sure that you're heard. Once again, thank you very much for listening to the podcast. We will see you next week. Bye, everybody. Have a good night.